Rất vui được gặp lại quý vị trong chương trình Tôi và Việt Nam trên kênh truyền hình FNBC. Ngày hôm nay tôi rất hân hạnh chào đón đến trường quay ông Winston Barrie, Tổng giám đốc của công ty Preferred Freezer Services+antara Việt Nam, đơn vị quản lý kho trữ lạnh đơn lớn nhất Đông Nam Á, tạo một cú hích lớn cho thị trường xuất khẩu thủy hải sản và nông sản Việt Nam. Và trước khi bắt đầu chương trình, mời quý vị cùng đón xem đoạn clip sau đây. Nếu lấy một bằng chứng sống để minh họa về tính kiên nhẫn trong kinh doanh, có lẽ ông Winston Barrie là một trường hợp điển hình nhất. Đặt chân đến Việt Nam cách đây 15 năm, ông Barrie đã chọn lĩnh vực thực phẩm để phát triển sự nghiệp và theo đuổi giấc mơ xây dựng một kho trữ lạnh đạt chất lượng quốc tế. Cuối cùng, lòng kiên trì đã được đền đáp. Tháng 6 vừa qua, Preferred Freezer Services, kho trữ lạnh đơn lớn nhất Đông Nam Á, đã ra đời tại thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, trung tâm tài chính thương mại năng động nhất Việt Nam. Ông mong muốn hệ thống trữ lạnh của mình sẽ góp phần nâng cao tiêu chuẩn chất lượng bảo quản thực phẩm cho các doanh nghiệp nội địa. Với ông, đội ngũ nhân viên Việt Nam là những cộng sự tuyệt vời nhất. Hello, Mr. Barrie. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Mr. Khan. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure to have you here. So let me get started with the Preferred Freezer Services+antara Vietnam, the largest cold storage in Southeast Asia. And I know you've been through many ups and downs of the process in order to have these establishments. How could you make this happen?
One of the greatest highlights of the project has been opening. The project began originally in 1995 with the inception of looking at the Vietnamese market. But then we began in earnest again in 2006 when we relicensed the project under the new investment laws. And we went through the complete process of putting together the funding, the construction permits, the identifying who our main suppliers were, and then eventually, I would say the greatest day was when we put our first piling in the ground to begin construction.
How did you go over such as like the step of raising funds for the project?
Initially, we had looked at many different funding sources. And then we started discussions with the IFC in 1997. And we did our feasibility studies and submitted that to the IFC and fell under their infrastructure development. Because the project not only assists local distribution, but the trickle-down effect, it services the 2 million people involved in the seafood and fisheries industries.
Okay. So when you decided to invest in these projects, how do you think this cold storage facility could help let's say, the food industry in Vietnam grow later?
What it does is it allows the food industry or people concentrating in food manufacturing from seafood, meat, or agricultural products to outsource a cost center for themselves. What they're now able to do is to concentrate their core efforts on producing product rather than storing and handling.
Okay. I know that at your storage, you apply a automated system for the storage facility, which is the first in Vietnam. Does that mean that you charge higher for the services?
No, our services are charged the same as any other facility in Vietnam. What we focused on automation because we felt that labor will be increasing cost, and we were able to fix that portion of the business. In addition, by not having the workers having to work in a minus 20 degree plus environment, and concentrating working on our extremely large loading dock at plus 5 degrees, it creates a better working environment. But what we had focused on is the long-term effects and the long-term benefits for our business. And this is why we focused on automation, to be able to protect our customers' products with fewer damages and better quality control.
So some experts claim that Vietnam is experiencing a shortage of cold storage, while others saying that we have a surplus depending on the locations, especially some major locations in southern province. What is your thought on that?
That's like in any real estate question.
Okay.
You'll find people that in an area, let's say there's a hotel, and there's a shortage of hotels in one geographic area and a glut in another. We're finding more storages being built within close proximity to Ho Chi Minh City, but those are on the projected growth within the business.
Okay.
So today there is a glut, but that will be filled up, and there are provincial demands if we're looking in the south, the center, or in the north where there is a definite shortage.
How was the reaction from the local food business when you started the storage?
I think it's very, very positive. It's hard to get your name out and then to have people know your product. But Preferred Freezer Services, having 25 facilities in the United States and handling 80% of all the seafood, we're starting to take our U.S. network and expand that into Vietnam.
So being a large operations, storage operators in the United States and around the world, does that mean the local clients right now, they can be benefit from your network in terms of finding good partners for importing?
Yes, we have an online document service, Preferred Online. For example, a Vietnamese exporter of seafood can store their product with us in the United States. They can store the product here in Vietnam, and they can go online and check each of their inventory levels at multiple facilities.
But help them support them in terms of getting more network of import or export thing to the United States?
We are a pure 3PL provider. We are not in the trading business. So what we do is we provide a service to our clients, and providing one client a benefit would be detrimental to the other. So we are impartial in that regard.
So they just store the products at your storage, but you don't help them with finding an international partner for importing goods.
Sometimes we may do that. It depends on the clients.
So in your view, what should foreign investors should pay attention to when they want to invest in the cold storage facilities in Vietnam?
You have to carefully examine the market. You have to look at who your client base will be, and to see what are the developments in the region, and how is that going to support your business in the long term. This is a capital-intensive business that has a very, very long but stable return, and so in that regard, investors have to show a long-term commitment to this industry.
How about the levels of support from the government in terms of like business license or that kind of thing that you've been through almost 5 years?
The government has been very supportive. We have had very good support from the DPI in Ho Chi Minh City. We've had support from the People's Committee and very good support from District 7, where we're located.
Is that District 7, that's close to many ports in downtown area, right?
Yes, we're next to the Phu My Bridge. We're 15 minutes from Cat Lai. We're 10 minutes from VICT terminal, and we're 12 kilometers from SPCT down in the Hip Phuc area. So we're in the middle of a triangle, so it's very easy to get to any of the ports.
Very good locations. How did you find it?
When we were first looking at the land, we studied the original master plans of Ho Chi Minh City. Also, we looked at where we felt that the future development was going to go. When we first saw this, the Phu My Bridge was only a line on a piece of paper. And we believed in the long-term development of infrastructure in Vietnam and in Ho Chi Minh City. And so this is why we chose this location.
All right. Let's come back after a quick break.
All right.
Thank you. Vâng, đến đây xin mời quý vị cùng giải lao trong ít phút trước khi quay trở lại phần 2 của chương trình. Xin cảm ơn. Vâng, xin chào mừng quý vị quay trở lại với phần 2 của cuộc trò chuyện cùng ông Winston Barrie, Tổng giám đốc của Preferred Freezer Services Antara Vietnam. Hi, Mr. Barrie, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
So my question for you is, why did you choose 2010s to launch the storage? But why not sooner?
It's a very auspicious time. And also what we felt that this is a seminal point in the development of Vietnam's food industry. It's where people are taking a qualitative change in the way that they're approaching business. People are now more aware of better quality, better safety standards, better food handling standards.
Okay. Talking about food safety is a very important topic that draws too much public attention nowadays. So as a food storage, what do you do to guarantee the food safety for your product?
What we do is we are able to maintain, we take temperature of the product when it comes in. We'll inform our clients of, and keep temperature records. Also, by the size of our stores, in the continuity in the temperature, everyone is very, very assured that their product is being handled and maintained at an even temperature for the entire period that it's held with us.
So your facility provides services for both aquaculture and agriculture products?
Yes, any product that needs to be kept at a minus 20-degree temperature and frozen, we will handle that for the clients.
I'm just curious again about the automated system. Could you sort of like tell me what is really make a difference for the automated system compared to a normal system that could make your facility better?
Many times when people are storing product, their boxes or their cases will be hit with a forklift where they're taking it on and off of the rack.
It's caused an accident for people?
Accident, carton damage, also retrieval. With the automated system, we can control the exact lots of product that's coming in and out, and the customer can be assured that that product that's being put on that pallet can be retrieved and handled at any specific time according to their requirements.
And then you told me that you charge the same price for such a nice automated system.
Yes.
How do you manage to keep the cost down, or just you decided to experience the loss first and then look into the future?
Our facility is designed extremely efficiently. We have a 1,700 square meter loading dock so that all of the activity is handled in this plus 5-degree environment, and then everything is put into the freezer. So from an operational standpoint, we function at a better cost saving.
So for now, who is your target customer for now?
Everyone and anyone that needs
around the country?
Predominantly in the southern part of Vietnam. We are bringing customers in from all the way from the center, from Da Nang to as far south in Cà Mau and Kinh Nhang in the delta.
And you told me its infrastructure is very a key point in Vietnamese economy development. From a food industry expert's perspective, what's your views on how to develop the infrastructures in order to support the growth of the aquaculture and agriculture industry in Vietnam?
What we need to do is to establish standards not only from the export side, which are driven by the clients. You see HACCP, BCI standards that to meet international markets in Europe and in North America, but also quality food standards for domestic distribution, and coupled with better cold chain management, which would mean more facilities like Preferreds in other parts of the country, so that food not only is stored in one place, but transported on a quality basis to another facility for local distribution.
What kind of problems or issues are we facing right now for these domestic distributions of food products in Vietnam, from your experience?
Domestic distribution is in its infancy in Vietnam. We're looking at the inherent problems with roads, trucks being able to come in and out of the city.
Okay.
So a lot of product is still being transported, let's say, sometimes you'll see it on the back of a motorcycle.
Okay. Well, does it mean that do you plan to expand your business to further in the South provinces?
Yes, we plan to expand. Our ultimate goal is to have 7 facilities at least throughout Vietnam that would be servicing Hanoi in the Red River Delta areas, also in the Mekong Delta, and in central Vietnam.
I want to talk about the agricultures a little bit. From your personal experience, what sort of challenges are we facing for the industry?
We're facing post-harvest management where you have basically the management of your product once it's harvested from the fields, taking the temperature out of it, and again, the cold chain.
Okay.
We see a loss between, let's say, about 50% from by the time something is harvested till the time it reaches the tabletop in the cities.
What is your biggest business lesson that you draw from almost 5 years in Vietnam?
Patience.
Patience.
Patience. The key to anything, I think, is patience in believing in your long-term goals and to have a commitment to ideals that you establish.
So what is your message for the local food companies when you decided to launch this project in 2010?
Come and see us. We'll take care of your product and you don't have to worry about that portion of your business.
So it's been launched in April 2010
We had
officially.
we had our soft opening in April, and our formal launch was on the 12th of June.
What kind of problem did you experience so far?
You know what? With the team that we have and the workers that we have working with us in Vietnam, we haven't experienced any problems. We're going through a learning process, and I have to tell you one thing, that the quality of the staff that we have in Vietnam is the best of any of our freezers that we maintain.
So besides preferred freezer, do you think there'll be more foreign investors that be interested in the field and doing the same thing in the future?
Competition is all, whenever anybody sees a business going well, there's always competition.
So what do you think is a core strength of preferred freezer services that could help you compete with others, foreigners?
Preferred is number 3 in the United States, number 5 in the world. This is the first facility built outside the United States, and we have built a strong reputation building this business over the last 20 years by customer service. Customer service is a central core to our business, and this is an ideal that we have instilled in all of our facilities throughout the world, and it is that customer service and attention to our customers that makes us stand out among all of the other freezers.
The customer must be a lot of like farmers from the southern provinces, and you are like a foreign companies. How do you get to understand the local behaviors and the customer mind and expectation?
We spend a lot of time learning our customers' business. So it's not just to store with us. We try to understand what are the cycles in your business.
Sure.
What are your requirements?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a win-win situation by people working together.
All right, thank you for sharing. We'll come back after a few minutes.
Thank you very much.
Vâng, xin mời quý vị cùng giải lao trong ít phút trước khi quay trở lại phần 3 của chương trình. Xin cảm ơn. Vâng, xin chào mừng quý vị quay trở lại với phần 3 của cuộc trò chuyện cùng ông Winston Barrie, Tổng giám đốc của Preferred Freezer Services+antara Vietnam. Hello, Mr. Barrie, welcome back.
Thank you.
I know your background was in finance, bank.
Yes,
and then you started companies in China, but then end up right now in Vietnam with a preferred service doing cold storage. How was that change?
I started my career originally with Citibank in the Middle East Africa in commercial lending, and then worked with Bankers Trust in New York, which was subsequently bought by Deutsche Bank in private banking, and then shifted my career to the silk industry doing manufacturing in mainland China.
All right.
And doing that business, I had learned about third-party distribution systems. So I used to manufacture and do OEM manufacturing and move about 3 million garments a year in North America. So I had sold that business and said, what is the next thing that's interesting? I said, well, I don't want to own product again.
Okay.
So we started a service-based business. Well, what thing do people need every day? They need to eat.
All right, food.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was it. And then this was when Vietnam was first normalizing relationships with the United States. And Vietnam has traditionally been the rice basket of Southeast Asia.
Sure.
So I focused on that industry, and predominantly on the frozen portion of it, because this is a growth potential for Vietnam and the rest of the world. We had seen what had happened in Thailand with the seafood industry, Indonesia, and Vietnam was poised at that point in time for that same growth.
So at that time that you decided to come to Vietnam and pursue this business?
Yeah, Vietnam in 1995 was exporting $650 million a year in seafood. This year, according to VASIP, they will export over $5 billion. It's an amazing success story to see what Vietnam has done in the seafood industry.
But I'm just curious, like, how did you get started everything when at that time you have no prior working experience in Vietnam? Just started with yourself?
I came by myself and came and looked at this, had studied this as an industry, and decided Vietnam would be a next potential for this business, and did a feasibility study and vetted this as a potential industry. And You know, as I said earlier, it's patience, and you have to believe in what you set as your goals and stick to it.
So it's been 15 years for you.
Since I first came.
So how was the, let's say, the business environment at that time for foreigners, especially for the food industry, cold storage?
Licensing at that period in time was much more difficult. We are the first company to receive a 100% foreign-owned license from the MPI for refrigerated warehousing. So you again, at that period in time, you had to have patience also.
Sure. How did you, talking about personal life, how did you get adapted to a new working environment in Vietnam at that time?
Well, the Vietnamese people are wonderful people to work with, and so the adaptation wasn't that difficult. And one thing that was one of the better parts of it is the food is very good in Vietnam.
Really? What is your favorite?
Many different things. Many. Lao Ye is one of my favorites.
Okay, really? Sure. Let's go back to the cold storage a little bit.
Yeah.
What sort of the challenges do you foresee in the near futures for your company?
Some of the main challenges that we foresee are educating our clients in the best process for exchanging information. It's how do you work with a customer on scheduling? How do you work with a customer so that they understand the business planning process instead of acting on almost an ad hoc basis?
Okay.
So this is a collaboration of bringing best practices from another market and instituting them in Vietnam.
So does that mean that you have to have a lot of gathering, a lot of meeting with the potential customers and try to educate them about the process, about the services?
Yes. As I mentioned earlier, we are extremely focused on customer service. And part of that is getting to know our customers very well and understanding what their demands and helping them overcome hurdles that they may have.
I want to hear from your perspective about the overall pictures of the developments of cold storage in Vietnam, let's say the next 5 years. The local competitors, the foreign competitors, how does the picture look like? What do we see from now?
We see that there are some people that are not focused purely with expertise in this business that will come into the market. But we feel that we have established a standard and a bar that will be hard for people to reach. In that regard, you'll always find grade A, B, C type of businesses. But I think when it comes to people's safety, food safety, and the handling and distribution of products, you can't take a risk at that.
I read on newspapers recently about some experts saying that because of the shortage in cold storage in Vietnam, a lot of local exporters cannot sell directly to the foreign importers in the world, around the world, because they don't have the storage. But for now, if they have storage, the big storage like preferred services, does it mean they can solve the problem? They can store the products and then they sell directly to the customers?
What it allows for people to do is to get over seasonal lulls in their product, with selling their product. So if you're in the middle of harvesting shrimp, the price is usually much lower. So what we're able to do is customers can now hold their product back if they've had a good harvest and wait and then sell it out in a later portion in the season when the prices may be higher.
So that could happen if they have a storage?
That can happen if they have it. Also, instead of building their own storage, they are only paying for the amount of space that they're using instead of having to maintain the whole facility.
So what do you think about right now, the level of supply of storage and the demand from the clients right now?
Right now, it's a buyer's market to a certain extent. But there's a fair amount of storage available in the market, but also we're seeing an increase in production coming onto the market, and we're seeing increases, which I'm very excited about, where the central government is now focusing more on a lot of the agricultural products.
So one last question before we finish up. What is your outlook for from your personal experience, the outlook for the Vietnamese economy's developments in the futures?
For the sector that we're focusing on, I see that having its continual growth. we see the seafood industry in the next 10 years should double. I also see the same type of growth that will start to happen within the agricultural industry. And from that, 70% of the population of Vietnam is involved in agriculture. And I think that with facilities like ours, being able to support these people, Vietnam product will be taken globally.
When do you expect your facility to have a full capacity?
Hopefully in December.
This December?
We would like to have it this
Good luck with
December.
that.
Thank you very much,
Thank you so much for
John.
sharing. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
sir.
so much for coming.
Thank you.
Vâng, thưa quý vị, vừa rồi là những chia sẻ của ông Winston Barrie, Tổng giám đốc của Preferred Freezer Services+antara Việt Nam về những khó khăn, những trăn trở trong việc điều hành một kho trữ lạnh lớn nhất Đông Nam Á, cũng như là những nguyện vọng phát triển ngành xuất khẩu thủy hải sản và nông sản Việt Nam. Và đến đây thì thời lượng của chương trình Tôi Việt Nam cũng xin được khép lại. Và xin cảm ơn quý vị đã quan tâm theo dõi. Mọi ý kiến đóng góp xin gửi về cho địa chỉ email feedback@fnbc.com.vn. Một lần nữa xin chân thành cảm ơn và thân ái chào tạm biệt. Once again, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate
Thank you very
that.
much.
Okay.